Businesses are crying out for support as strict lockdown continues to take a toll on the hospitality industry. Joining me live now is restaurateur Luke Mangan. Luke, good to see you as always. So what is your experience as a businessman with your own staff for this lockdown as opposed to other lockdowns?
Good morning, Pete, and thanks for having me. Well, I've got to say this lockdown, as I'm sure you know, is probably a lot harder than it was last year. It feels really hard, and the real problem we're having is that interaction with staff. And no, there's no pathway, there's no future. They don't know when we're opening. None of us do, I guess, for that matter. But the real thing, I think, what the government needs to do, and I hope the Prime Minister's listening here, we need this industry and other industries need JobKeeper back. JobKeeper, the original JobKeeper, we need it back to have that interaction with staff, to give staff certainty and to let them know there is a future, there's a pathway we're moving towards. Because, Pete, so many businesses and so many people I speak to in Victoria and in New South Wales and around the country are really, really hurting. And they're still paying rent, there's no revenue coming in, and there's just no government support. Now, yes, the government did come up with a package a few weeks ago, very messy, by the way. Some businesses might get 10 grand. Well, that's 10 grand could be half a month's rent for some of these small businesses. And I'm not just talking hospitality and tourism. I'm talking, what about the bus drivers, tour operators, hairdressers, event organisers? Everyone is really struggling. This industry, it was on its knees this time last year. Now we are on the floor. Now the government, Prime Minister, you apologise for the stuff up with the vaccine, which I understand, but let's help the small people in this country, in New South Wales and Victoria. Let's help them, give them hope, and give them JobKeeper 3.0, because that will give everyone some hope, because we are not on our knees now, we're actually on our floors. And a lot of restaurants and businesses are going to go broke. And these are the backbone to the country, these people who are really suffering.
For sure, yeah. You did mention the disaster relief payments, which aren't as much as the original part of JobKeeper, the first stage. They match, and the government likes to remind us that it was the back end of JobKeeper that it matches. But why is that amount not enough? And I've got another question, but just answer that one first, and I'll come out the back of it, Luke.
Well, look, this part they've offered is $600 a week or whatever. But by the way, not everyone is eligible for that. There's people that can't get that. And there's people with no income. What we want to go back to is that $750 a week. And that keeps employer and employee connected and gives both people confidence when we're out of this, because I've got a feeling in New South Wales we might not get out of this until mid to late August.
Yeah,
and
September,
I'm not sure there's too many restaurants that can survive, and who knows what's happening in Victoria. And I think the numbers in Sydney today are going to be big.
Yeah, you get that sense too, and we've spoken a few times on this program, Luke, about trying to get more customers and get more business into the CBD. This was after the events of last year. How much more difficult is that going to be this time around? Because as we know right now, it is an absolute ghost town.
Well, here I am in a 600-room hotel, empty, our beautiful restaurant empty like so many others around the cities. Dominic Perrottet and the Gladys Berejiklian did a fantastic job for New South Wales up until this new outbreak.
Yeah.
Now, what they need to do with the Dine and Discover vouchers, which were fantastic, they've got to continue them as soon as we open up. They've got to get them happening again and take it right through to the end of the year. They've also got one thing they've brought up was payroll tax, that they're going to abolish that for 3 months. Well, I'm sorry, they need to take that a lot further. We need to carry that on right through till next year, I think. We've got to give businesses a smell. There's some hope for these
and good point on that too, because you want to be encouraging businesses to employ staff, but as we know, payroll tax is effectively a punishment, a tax punishment for employing staff.
Insidious tax. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And state government blames federal government. Federal government blames state government. Listen, work as a team. Forget the egos in politics, please, Prime Minister and Premiers. Let's look after the hard-working people. Get JobKeeper happening. Let's get it happening. Give people hope.
Just one more locally. There is suggestions in the Australian this morning that the government is going to consider this over the weekend, that while it might have to continue the restrictions in southwest Sydney where those numbers are still high, in these other areas, Greater Sydney, Northern Beaches, etc., where numbers are coming down or there is a control of them, there's a suggestion that they should now be relaxed. Would you support that kind of thinking?
Look, I think any sort of thinking that gives us a pathway, that businesses, small businesses, know where they're headed, so we can talk to our staff and communicate. Are we going to open up on, like the construction industry?
Yeah.
They've been told they can open up on the 31st. Now, we can't just open a restaurant or a cafe or bar or a hairdressing salon just like that by the flick of a switch.
Yeah.
We need some notice. Now, are we opening up with 4 square metres again? Are we opening up with only tables of 10 like we did last year? We need communication. We need a pathway. And that's all we're asking for from state government and federal government. Now, this New South Wales government, as I said, have done a great job. Now is the time, Prime Minister, to all the bad that's happened with the vaccine, let's turn this negative into a positive and get JobKeeper number 3 for the small people in this country to survive and give them hope.
Okay. Luke Mangan, as always, good to chat. We'll talk to you soon. Hopefully that